from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Right now on GMSA at 9, it's the day after Election Day, but we still don't know the winner of the presidential election. We are tracking that race closely and have results on other local races.
And a good morning to you. It is Wednesday. It is November 4th, and we have 10 other things to focus on in the month of November now that things have started to settle down politically.
So you will laugh at number 1.
Yeah, so it is the end of election season. That is the number one thing to look forward to on KSAT.com. No matter which way you're voting, history is about to be made, and you don't have to see any more ads about heading to the polls for a while.
Yes. Here on GMSA, we have seen our share of ads. Number 2, camping. Well, so we had this on the list last month, but Texas is kind of getting cool right now. So parts of our state have seen snow already. We haven't here, of course, but camping when it's cold is a great excuse for a bonfire. And
they have a list of 20 state parks for fall camping on our website, KSAT.com. Number 3, paintball and airsoft. New 10-acre paintball airsoft park opening up out in Schertz. We told you about that right here on GMSA at 9.
Also looking forward to Thanksgiving, of course. And then right after that, it says pie. So is there really any explanation needed for this one? So whether you like pecan, pumpkin, or anything else, it's something you can look forward to this month.
Right. And our producer tells us that the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is on, according to the retailer, just on TV only. But we skipped chicken on a stick.
How did I do that?
I don't know. You were so excited about Thanksgiving, you skipped the chicken.
That's right. The San Antonio Zoo had announced that they were going to have San Antonio's beloved chicken on a stick, even though, Fiesta did not have it this year. So we have that to look forward to.
All right. Did we talk pie yet?
Yes.
All right, so pie's coming up. Also, the Riverwalk lights. Yes, that's another thing to look forward to. They're coming November 27th.
Yeah, so you can still drive around and look at them. And of course, Christmas. A lot of people, we're already looking forward to Christmas the day after Halloween.
Of course, 51 days till Christmas, by the way, according to the old Christmas app.
Very nice.
Also, Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. Fishing. Want to get outside, take a short trip out of town. Texas Parks and Wildlife recently shared 12 crappie fishing hotspots around the state.
And also to make you laugh, looking forward to the end of 2020.
Please,
yes.
Can we? All of us.
I agree.
We're ready to move on to a new year.
Yeah, and for now, let's move on to today's 9 at 9.
President Donald Trump claiming victory over Joe Biden early this morning. However, several states have yet to be called. The president threatening to take legal action over legitimate vote counting.
There is a lot of talk about Texas potentially turning blue this year, but President Trump ended up winning the Lone Star State.
Texas Republican John Cornyn keeping his seat in the U.S. Senate. He pulled off a victory over Democratic challenger Mary M.J. Hagar.
Sarah McBride has become the first openly transgender state senator in the country. She was elected to Delaware State Senate. This also makes her the country's highest-ranking openly transgender official.
Hospitalizations for coronavirus in the U.S. topped more than 50,000 patients on Tuesday. It's estimated that 70% of hospital beds across the country are currently full.
The University of Oxford hopes to present late-stage trial results on its COVID-19 vaccine this year. That means the UK could start to roll out a successful vaccine in late December or early 2021.
New Jersey voters have approved a measure to legalize recreational marijuana. The measure would make it legal for personal use by adults 21 and older.
Oregon will become the first state to decriminalize possession of small amounts of drugs, including heroin and cocaine. Voters passed the measure, which also expands addiction services using the state's marijuana tax revenue.
Holiday shopping kicks into high gear today. Walmart's first of 3 early Black Friday sales starts tonight at Walmart.com. The online sale runs through Saturday, then starts in stores. And that's today's 9 at 9.
And, of course, we are going to circle back to some political stuff, including the latest on the race for the White House coming up right here on GMSA at 9.
But for now, we have some good news. Looking outside with live cam, a beautiful 61 degrees.
Another beautiful start. Let me just say great work to all you guys working on all the election coverage.
Especially the folks behind the scenes.
Yes, a lot of hard work. Great job. Let me just say that first off. And let's look outside right now. It is gorgeous. 61 degrees at the airport, 75% on humidity, calm winds. Dew point at 53. That number's trying to rise a little bit, and that's why we did see a little bit of patchy fog this morning. We'll get up to around 80 this afternoon with mostly sunny skies And around the area right now, we're seeing those temperatures generally starting to warm into the 50s. Pollen count is in, 190, bold low. Nothing to worry about there. And we mentioned those temperatures, 61 at the airport, but 59 Bernie Stage, 51 Comfort. That's where we saw some fog a little bit earlier. And again, the forecast for today, up around 80, southerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Guys.
Just a whole bunch of districts were out yesterday for Election Day, but we're back to normal flow today. There's a live look at I-35 Judson, and there is one of the ramps at I-10 and 1604 on the northwest side, 410 at Callahan on the northwest.
And again, it is the day after Election Day, and while most of the local and state races here in Texas have already been called across the country, we are still waiting to find out who will win the White House. Millions of ballots are still being counted. The race coming down to at least 3 battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the Electoral College right now. This is where things stand as of right now. Joe Biden with 237 electoral votes. President Donald Trump with 211. Of course, the magic number is 270. And let's go ahead and take a look at the popular vote. Right now, we have a former Vice President Joe Biden with 50% of the vote and President Donald Trump with 48%. Of course, there was a lot of speculation that Texas could turn blue this year, but that was not the case. Let's take a look at the race for president here in Texas. President Donald Trump winning 52 to 46%. That's with 89% of the votes in as of right now. And there's still a lot of political tug of war in the U.S. Senate and House as both parties fight for the control of Congress. Sarah Costa's had a very busy morning, joining us now in the studio to monitor the balance of power on Capitol Hill. Sarah, what do you have?
Well, good morning. Well, we know all eyes have been on the presidential race, but the race to control Congress is crucial to both parties, and it's too close to call both the House and the Senate. But let's take a look at the U.S. Senate results, with the Democrats right now at 45 seats and the Republicans at 47. Now, these numbers are according to the AP. So if you go on to KSAT.com, then the numbers might look a little different because KSAT.com, we're using ABC reporting results, which means right here, 8 seats still have not been decided. For the majority, a party needs 51 seats. If there is a tie, the vice president has a deciding vote, which of course would mean we wouldn't know who will take the majority in the Senate until the president election is decided. Now let's look at a key race that is helping determine the Senate makeup, happening right here in Texas between Republican Senator John Cornyn and Democrat MJ Hagar. Cornyn beating out Hagar with 54% of the vote, and Hagar at 44% of the vote, meaning the Republicans and Cornyn will keep his seat that he has had since 2002. Now let's take a look at the latest numbers for the U.S. House of Representatives. Democrats at 189, Republicans at 183. This is still incredibly too close to call who will take the majority. There are a total of 435 seats in the House. There are currently 65 seats that haven't been decided. So to take the majority in the House, a party needs more than 218 seats. Even though this has not been decided, we may not know for several days, similar to the presidential election. Last night, Nancy Pelosi said that the Democrats will continue to have the majority. Again, it's still to be determined. But let's take a look at some of those key races from here at home. District 21, Chip Roy has been declared by the AP as the winner of this race, even though there's not a little check mark by his name. AP did declare him the winner at 52%. And Wendy Davis at 45%. Another key race for Republicans was the District 23 race that stretches from far west Bexar County all the way to Eagle Pass in El Paso. Republican Tony Gonzalez winning this race with 51% of the vote, and Gina Ortiz Jones at 47%. Now, Jones did just send our newsroom a statement, so let's go ahead and read that. She says, quote, "I want to thank each and every grassroots supporter, volunteer, and member of my staff who poured their heart into our campaign. I am so proud of the race we ran," she said, "and it's our shared commitment to fighting for working families in South and West Texas that continues to give me hope." She also says, "While we came up short, I will always remain dedicated to serving our country and my community in any way I can." She says, "I hope Texas District 23 is represented with all of her constituents in mind and in a way in which she deserves." Mark and Stephanie.
All right, that statement coming from Gina Ortiz-Jones just about an hour ago, conceding the race for Texas Congressional District 23. Still a lot of looming questions around the country, but here in Bexar County, all of our local votes have indeed been counted. Our
Max Massey joins us live from the Bexar County Elections Office. And Max, you've been covering the polls for the past couple of days. How did Election Day go?
Good morning, guys. Well, Jackie Callanan telling us that it was pretty much smooth sailing. Now, we know 1.18 million people registered to vote here in Bexar County. 760,000 people actually cast their votes. That's a 64% rate. Now, a lot actually happened in early voting. So yesterday on Election Day wasn't too crowded around the polls. That actually made things a little easier towards the end of the day. They were able to close polls right around 7 o'clock because they didn't have too many long lines. And remember, guys, if you were in line at 7 o'clock, you still had that right to vote.
Max, you've also been covering the 3 propositions that were on the ballot for San Antonio this year. There was some optimism they might all 3 pass, and they did. Talk to us about that.
That's right. All 3 did pass. We had pre-K for SA, the workforce development, and as well as VIA funding. So let's dive right in. First off, let's go right into pre-K for SA. It provides free or reduced price full-day pre-K education and professional development for educators at 4 centers. It also gives grants, $4.2 million in grants to other students in other programs. Next up, I know the mayor was very excited about this one. He's been advocating for it for a while, the workforce development prop. Now, we know San Antonio struggles with poverty, especially after this pandemic. So this proposition set to help about 40,000 people get scholarships and get better paying jobs through the Ready to Work SA program. It's an effort to help locals break out of poverty, an issue punctuated by this economic crisis because of the pandemic. And lastly, we have VIA. People know VIA. It's a public transportation here in San Antonio. The item on the ballot, which was approved, states that the proceeds would be used for advanced public transportation services, operations, passenger amenities, equipment, and other innovative advanced public transportation purposes. So the VIA president and CEO, Jeffrey Arndt, told us that it would increase bus service as well as options, and it also kicks off plans for an advanced rapid transit system. So advanced services and public transit, more and more options here in San Antonio. And the president and CEO also told us that it could bring in more business. He said big businesses like Amazon, they look at advanced rapid transit programs of cities around the country, and that actually helps them make decisions on where they want to put headquarters. Guys?
Thank you, Max, so much. Other top local races worth noting, Sheriff Javier Salazar will keep his position as Bexar County Sheriff. He beat Republican Jerry Rickoff to secure his 2nd term as sheriff. And here's a breakdown of those numbers. We have Javier Salazar with 62% of the vote, and we have Jerry Rickoff with 38% of the vote.
It was a good night for female candidates right here in Bexar County.
Several precincts in the area will have leading ladies serving as commissioners and constables, and some even breaking barriers, becoming the first women of color in those roles.
Alicia Padetta live with more on those winners. Alicia, good morning.
Good morning. Well, the names making headlines today include Rebecca Becky Clay Flores, Trish DeBerry, Leticia Vasquez, as well as Catherine Brown. So let's start off with Miss Brown. Catherine Brown is a Democrat. She defeated Republican Larry Ricketts and will become the first black woman elected as Bexar County Constable once sworn in. Brown won by more than 35,000 votes and will serve Precinct 4. One of her goals to raise awareness on issues including domestic violence. In the race for constable for Precinct 2, Leticia Vasquez will carry on with her role. Vasquez defeated Charlie Peña in a big way, winning 64% of the votes over the Republican candidate. Republican candidate Trish DeBerry took the lead and defeated Democrat Christine Hortrick for the seat as commissioner for Precinct 3 in Bexar County. DeBerry took home 55% of the vote, a difference of nearly 25,000 votes. DeBerry will fill the seat left by Republican Kevin Wolf. And for the first time in more than 15 years, Precinct 1 will have a new commissioner. Democrat Rebecca Becky Clay Flores had a steady lead and ended up blowing Republican candidate Gabriel Lara out of the water. She secured 65% of the votes in Bexar County, winning by 45,430 votes. So a lot of new faces here in Bexar County, and we have reached out to some of these new candidates, to some of these new officials for reaction on their win. For a full list of the results, you can head over to KSAT.com. Reporting Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alicia.
Right now, 9:12, 61 degrees still ahead on GMSA at 9.
And just because it's a day after Election Day, that doesn't mean we can't have fun here on GMSA at 9. Katie Blake and David Sears will join us for a fun new experiment that you can do for Katie's Science Lab.
There is other news here in our San Antonio area. A confrontation between a man and Bexar County Sheriff's deputies ends with the man dead. Why? Sheriff Javier Salos has said deputies had to pull the trigger.
And taking a look at stocks the day after Election Day, Dow is up 517 points. And welcome back. It's 9:16. Top stories we're following today. While the Elections Department was busy overnight counting ballots, law enforcement investigators across the city were busy with 3 separate shootings.
David Sears joins us live here in the studio with a roundup of all the overnight news. Good morning, David.
Good morning. A deadly shooting overnight involving Bexar County Sheriff's deputies. That's where we'll start. It all happened in the garage of a house in the 3000 block of Talley Road. That's outside of Loop 1604 on the far west side. According to Sheriff Javier Salazar, the call came in from a former resident of that house. He returned to the home to retrieve some property from a relative and wanted some backup from BCSO. The man entered the house and came back out and informed the deputies that there was a shotgun in the garage in plain sight. The deputies saw the suspect in the garage, crouching near a car in the dark. The 55-year-old suspect then drew a weapon from his holster. The deputies gave him commands to drop it. Here's the sheriff's describing the scene.
I could tell they were making inquiries of him of whether he was injured or needed help. And so they never actually made it into the garage from what I could see. When they saw him stand up abruptly with the weapon raised, they did a great job in retreating back, and they actually turned off their lights for a moment to conceal their own movements. And then when they turned the lights back on, he had already come back out of the garage and was advancing toward them at that point.
No deputies were injured in that incident. And apparent drug deal gone bad. San Antonio police officers were called to the 2100 block of Dollar High. That is near Goliad. It happened at 1:15 this morning. They were called for an injured person, a man shot in the back. Police tell us they found shell casings at the scene along with some evidence of a possible drug deal. The wounded man was taken to BAMC. So far, no arrests have been made. And another shooting. This one happened at the Pilot Flying J Truck Center on Foster Road yesterday afternoon. And the search is on for a man who fatally shot a woman. The woman in her 40s was pronounced dead at the scene. The shooter fled in a red Dodge Avenger. No word on the relationship between the man and the woman. The investigation is still underway. And a man has died after police say he was hit by a vehicle. It happened on the far west side near Dugas Drive and Petranco Road. Police say a 65-year-old woman was driving the vehicle that hit him. The 60-year-old man, was crossing the street. The woman did stop to help and was not charged. The man was taken to University Hospital but died during surgery. Mark, Steph, back to you.
David, thank you.
And right now we are at a nice 61 degrees. How's it going to look for the rest of the day, Justin?
It's going to warm up to near 80 again. So we're kind of stuck in a broken record pattern here, but at least it's nice weather. We had a little bit of fog this morning. Visibility was down in places like Bernie, Kerrville. We're still seeing some reduced visibility there, but some improvement, and it will improve very quickly, we think. Looking at the visible satellite picture, you could actually see some of that fog up there right there. It has already dissipated now. We've got sunny skies in a lot of spots. A little closer look there, some of that fog. We may see this again tomorrow. There is the potential for fog to move back in. This is fast forwarding to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Does show actually a wide area of fog around South Texas, probably a little more pronounced than what we saw today. So heads up there. We may see some morning clouds too. No clouds right now. 61 degrees at the airport, calm winds. It's really a pretty nice morning. 58 degrees in Bulverde, 63 Bernie Stage, 58 in Bandera, 61 there in Hondo, 62 Del Rio, 65 in Cotulla. And 2 points trying to climb. They're in the 50s, and that's one of the reasons we saw some of the fog this morning. You're going to see these numbers climb even more, probably into tomorrow. We may get a little dip over the weekend. Looks like Saturday will be a bit drier, but then the humidity tries to increase again Sunday into Monday. Here's the long-range forecast. High pressure tries to build in the next couple days. That'll keep things quiet. A little area of low pressure forms, but it's to our east. Doesn't give us any rain. That actually interacts, interestingly, with what's going on in the tropics, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But this next system, that tries to move towards the middle part of the country, and this one actually may bring a weak front in on Tuesday. That would give us a chance for rain. Not a great chance, but a chance nonetheless, maybe a few showers building on Tuesday. We put in a 20% chance of rain. Meantime, Hurricane Ada, or now tropical storm, it's weakening some. Winds at 50 miles per hour, gusting to 65. It's moving west at about 7 miles per hour over the mountainous terrain. So it's going to fall apart a little bit. But as it comes back out into the Caribbean, it could reform into a tropical storm. Dropped a lot of rain, by the way. Very dangerous conditions over parts of Nicaragua and Honduras. And then by, say, Sunday, this could be affecting southern Florida. From there, there's all sorts of things that could happen. We mentioned that area of low pressure. They may sort of work in tandem, and this may make landfall once again. There's a lot of things to watch, but very interesting system. Ada has been dangerous, of course, for Central America. Now it could affect parts of the United States mainland. Not us, though. We're going to keep things quiet here. 80 degrees today, mostly sunny, and then look for a 79 tomorrow, 79 on Friday. Some fog, some clouds. 81 Saturday, 82 on Sunday. There's our 20% chance of rain Tuesday as that weak front moves in, and that should drop temperatures ever so slightly. Guys.
That will be nice. Thank you, Justin.
922, 61 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA at 9, KSAT.com has been under an election takeover for the past few days. So there may have been other non-election stories that you may have missed. Our Eric Hernandez has a roundup of those stories next.
Coronavirus hospitalization surge, a push to relax drug laws gains big victories on state ballots, and a snapshot of how many Americans voted and what matters to them.
Our Eric Hernandez joins us live in the newsroom with the details on these stories trending on KSAT.com. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Well, Americans went to the polls yesterday under the shadow of a resurging pandemic, as there has been an alarming increase in cases. Now, the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 is reaching record highs in a growing number of states. All but 3 states actually have seen surges, especially in the Midwest and Southwest. The resurgence loomed over candidates and voters yesterday. While many Americans mailed in their ballots because of the virus, many still voted in person. Poll workers had to take extra precautions, including limiting contact. In other election news, a nationwide push to relax drug laws took a significant step forward as 5 more states legalized marijuana for adults and voters, made Oregon the first state to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of street drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. The Oregon Drug Initiative that will allow people arrested with small amounts of hard drugs to avoid going to trials and possible jail time by paying a $100 fine and attending an addiction recovery program. The states to legalize some sort of marijuana measure for adults age 21 and older now include New Jersey, Arizona, South Dakota, Montana, and Mississippi. As far as how Americans voted, the AP VoteCast, which is a national survey of the electorate, has given us a snapshot of who voted and what matters to them. It's broken down in this article. Some of the key takeaways when it comes to the pandemic: a majority of Biden voters say it was the most important issue facing the country, but Trump voters were more focused on the economy. Speaking of the economy, it was split as well, with Trump voters remaining adamant that the economy is in good shape, while Biden voters say economic conditions are not so good or poor right now. Partisanship even seemed to cloud views on football among voters in many states. Voters who approved of the Big Ten playing this year supported Trump, while those who didn't support it more likely backed Biden. Now, that was just some key takeaways that this article had, and the AP VoteCast tool can really dive into other demographics for any state or the nation. All that can be found on KSAT.com. Mark, Steph?
Thanks, Erica. More ahead on GMSA at 9.
It's been hours since the last polls closed around the country, and the election is still too close to call, coming down to just a handful of states that will decide the winner. We're going to have team coverage from CNN's Daryl Forges and Karen Kafa.
Real quick, we want to let you know, programming, that we are standing by to take a special report from ABC News and George Stephanopoulos. We're going to get an update directly on the election situation in Pennsylvania from Governor Tom Wolf. That is scheduled to happen in the coming minutes. We'll keep you posted, and we'll join it as soon as we can.
And for now, a Trust Index team at KSAT is in charge of fact-checking misleading claims. And on Election Day, the team spent their time monitoring misinformation in real time.
Tom Trey-Winard from Fathom, the company we partner with to track and correct misinformation for our Trust Index, now joins us live from the UK to break down some of the things that we saw overnight. Good morning, or rather good afternoon to you. Well, can you give us a recap of what we saw overnight? Any ongoing problems?
So yesterday, right from the start of polling in Pennsylvania, we saw a lot of claims, and a lot of them were unverified and with no supporting evidence of voting issues in the process that were being spread by Twitter accounts like Philly GOP. Those with the hashtag Stop the Steal have continued overnight, and so that's something that we're looking at on an ongoing basis. Twitter themselves have been active in flagging a lot of those tweets and claims as disputed and misleading. So that's the kind of ongoing story that we're looking at. So I'm also waiting to see what Pennsylvania say when they come in.
And Tom, now that the election is over, what do we need to look out for?
Right, so I think this is a really fragile moment in terms of misinformation because there's so much uncertainty around what comes next. So even after states declare votes, we have to keep in mind that the race isn't over. We might be seeing recounts in various states. We're likely to see legal challenges in different states, and it's hard to find accurate information about what's going on. So it's in these information gaps that misinformation can really thrive, especially when candidates and surrogates are using media presence to amplify false claims, particularly around things like voter fraud. So it's really important over the next few days to remember to pause before you share. Beware information that is causing strong emotional reactions like fear or anxiety or relation, and really take our time on social media.
All right, Tom Trey-Winard with Fathom, our partners for the KSAT Trust Index. Thanks so much for joining us live from London. Have a good rest of your day, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And taking a look outside with live cam, things are heating up pretty quickly.
Yeah, starting to ramp up. After, what was it, another chilly morning, we had temperatures in the 40s, and now we're going to make it up into the low 80s probably this afternoon. Consistency, that's the name of the game here as we go through the weekend. Low 80s, upper 70s, you know, consistently nice. There is one change as you get towards the end of the forecast, and that's Tuesday, where we could get a weak front and maybe some rain chances associated with that. Right now, we're at 61 degrees at the airport, 61 Stinson, 61 Kelly, and 61 at Randolph. Talk about consistency. Light winds across the board there, too. And increase in moisture, those light winds contributed to a little bit of fog this morning. Most of that has gone away. So visibility improving area-wide. We're not seeing any cloud cover now on the visible satellite picture. 63 degrees, Bernie Stage, 64 Castroville, 62 down there in Pleasanton, 62 Uvalde, 65 in Cotulla. So yes, it is warming up fairly quickly. Dew point tracker shows it'll be dry today, but dew points will pop up a little bit tomorrow. So I think that's going to allow for maybe a little bit more fog, maybe a little bit more early morning cloud cover. And then the dew points drop off again a little bit this weekend and then pop back up as we get ready for that next frontal boundary we were just talking about. Looking at futurecast visibility, it does start to come down tomorrow morning, so there could be some patchy fog for your morning commute. Really anywhere across South Texas, this is showing pretty widespread fog. And again, some of those low clouds may build in as well. But just as quickly as it builds, it'll go away. By mid-morning, we'll be back in the sun again. So pretty quiet across our area right now. A few clouds up there across North Texas. This is, I hate to use the word boring, but it's a pretty boring weather pattern that we're in right now. And as we look forward in time here, one little system goes off to the north and east. A little piece of energy pinches off from that, and it will sit across East Texas, but still won't bring us any rain. That, in fact, will interact with what's going on in the tropics, which makes sort of for an interesting forecast in Florida. But you know what? We're going to stop the forecast now. We're going to go to ABC.
But confident that these votes are going to be counted. They're going to be counted accurately, and they will be counted fully. The delay that we're seeing is a sign that the system is working. This is a new system. We went into effect with Act 77 last year, and there are 3 million millions of mail-in ballots that are being counted, and that takes longer than the way we used to do it with the stand-in in-person voting. So we may not know the results even today, but the most important thing is that we have accurate results. Again, even if that takes a little longer than we're used to. Make no mistake, our democracy is being tested in this election. This is a stress test of the ideals upon which this country was founded. And the basic rule of one person, one vote, that still carries, and it has to carry here. Our democracy has withstood challenges before, and for over 200 years we have upheld and strengthened our commitment to basic fairness and due process. And I have full faith that we will similarly meet this moment, and I will do everything within my power to ensure that the results are fair and that every vote is counted. Pennsylvania will have a fair election, and that election will be free of outside influences. I will vigorously, and we all will vigorously defend against any attempt to attack that vote in Pennsylvania. And every Pennsylvanian can have confidence in the outcome of this election due to the diligence of the county election officials and the hard work of Secretary Bookvar and her folks at the Pennsylvania Department of State. So thank you again to all Pennsylvanians who voted. Rest assured your vote will be counted. If it hasn't already been counted, your vote will make a difference in this election. This is the way we elect our officials. This is the way we hire the people who are our public servants. It's a promise that we give to all Pennsylvanians, all Americans, that their vote counts, and I intend to keep that promise here in Pennsylvania. Now I'm proud to turn this over to Secretary of State Kathy Bookvar.
Sorry. That's it.
Well, nothing earth-shattering there from the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, if you're just joining us now, we just heard from the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, and he pretty much gave us an update with the election, saying that they may not get those results today.
All right, more going to be coming up from ABC News and, of course, KSAT. Back to Justin to wrap up his forecast, which was interrupted by that ABC News special report.
Yeah, we'll just finish it up real quick here. 80 degrees today, 79 tomorrow, and Friday we may start off with some morning clouds, maybe some morning fog. The weekend looks good. Next week, we are expecting a weak front on Tuesday. May give us a slight chance for rain. It's not a great chance, 20%, and cool us down just a little bit on Tuesday, guys.
Thank you, Justin. All right, have you or the kids ever wondered what happens when you stick a pencil through a plastic bag full of water?
You're about to find out. Meteorologist Katie Blake and David Sears join us now for an experiment. Good morning.
Good morning. That's a very specific question.
Yeah.
But if you've had it, we're going to answer it today. This is really fun. This is also really simple. So we had the dry ice last week. That was kind of a big undertaking. So pretty simple this week. Here is what you're going to need for this little experiment. You're going to need some plastic baggies. I got some sandwich Ziploc bags here. You'll need some water, some sharpened pencils, and some paper towels. The paper towels kind of for the cleanup. And maybe not a bad idea to have like a container for cleanup as well, because there may be a little bit of water here, but not going to be a whole lot. Not going to be a whole lot of water spillage. So what we are going to do, David, is, and I got these pencils, you know, simple things in life. New pencils smell good. Am I the only one that thinks that?
Did you just like sniff
We love it over here,
Yeah.
Katie.
like the pencils?
Right.
All right, well, put your glasses on, protect your eyes.
You're right.
No telling what's in this water.
My fault. No telling what's in the water. So,
I'm splashing it.
What, what we have done is we filled our little sandwich baggies
like
with water. You want to get it as full as you can so that it's kind of nice and firm. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to take these pencils and puncture the bag. So we're going to do about 2 pencils per bag. And so before you get started with this with the kiddos, ask them, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's going to be a ton of water spilling out? What do you think is going to happen? David, what do you think?
I think water is going everywhere.
Okay.
It's going to be a big mess.
Good observation.
To clean it all up.
Good observation. All right.
Look at how much water is in that bag.
Let's see.
All right, you ready?
You ready? So you kind of want to.
You hold it.
You got to kind of go at it with some.
Okay.
Some velocity.
Okay.
Ready? 1.
Okay, go ahead.
2. That's about how it
That's
goes,
why
right?
you put the safety goggles on.
Yeah. Maybe I did too much force. Maybe that's what it was. Try it again.
I won't do it so hard. 1, 2, 3. Katie, are you?
I practiced it this morning out at the water fountain. Okay. That one was better. So there's a little bit, but you're not going to lose all the water in the baggie. A big reason for that is because this plastic bag is made of polymers. Polymers are long repeating chains of molecules here. So the polymers in the plastic, instead of the whole bag just shattering apart, they kind of link onto the pencil there.
It's the polymers.
The bag is 2020.
There are some natural polymers in the world. This is a synthetic polymer because it's not naturally occurring. Okay. That one's better. That one's better.
Look, it's barely come out of it.
Our favorite natural polymer is DNA, those chains.
Can we do another one?
Our DNA.
What will happen if I do another one?
That's That's good.
Wow.
Impressive.
Maybe you have to do 1, 2,
David
or 3.
wins. Good job, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, try as many as you want. See what happens.
I know my little girl's going to be all about that one.
Yes.
Can you use the pencils later?
Yeah.
What if I need to take like an Iowa basic skills test with my number 2 pencil?
Well, you'll have to remove them from the bag.
We have some more.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
You'll be
David.
good.
Katie, thank you. More on KSAT.com. 942, 61 degrees.
And you're watching GMSA at 9. The presidential race still too close to call. CNN's Daryl Forges and Karen Kafa will be live with how both candidates are reacting next.
Polls are closed. Ballots have been cast. Now the wait is on as the counting in several key battleground states does continue.
President Donald Trump making a claim of victory early this morning, even as millions of votes had yet to be counted. Meanwhile, former Vice President Joe Biden calling for patience with the process.
We have live team coverage of the election from CNN's Karen Kafa and Daryl Forges. Let's start with Karen in Washington. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie. Dueling conference calls at this hour from the Biden and the Trump campaigns. I'll let Daryl tell you what the Biden campaign had to say. But for the Trump campaign, the campaign manager, Bill Stepien, says that he believes when all the votes are legally counted, that President Trump will come out on top in states like Arizona and Pennsylvania. They do believe they have a path forward, but now we do wait and see as these votes are counted in those key battleground states. Election day in America is over, but the race is still on and no one has crossed the finish line. President Donald Trump, however, trying to prematurely and baselessly claim victory.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
While attempting to sow doubt on the process, claiming this without evidence.
This is a fraud on the American public.
But neither Trump nor former Vice President Joe Biden has the necessary 270 electoral votes to win, and millions of votes still need to be counted. Each candidate has won several states and racked up electoral votes, but with an influx of early and mail-in ballots due to the coronavirus pandemic, it will take time for some states to count every vote. Biden is expressing optimism.
We feel good about where we are. I'm here to tell you tonight, we believe we're on track to win this election.
Americans cast their votes early this year and in historic numbers, and Tuesday did not see widespread issues at polling locations. Now, two very different messages from each candidate. Biden urging Americans to be patient.
And it ain't over till every vote is counted.
And the president trying to call an end to the race before it's over and saying he'll go to the Supreme Court before the full legitimate count is complete.
We will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it.
But with so many votes still to be counted, there is still no winner yet. And President Trump's first tweet of the morning came about 45 minutes ago, in which he picked up on that theme that he addressed in his remarks at the White House last night, casting doubt on the way the votes were being tabulated, particularly in states he says are controlled by Democrats. Twitter, like they did with one of his tweets last night, has since labeled that as perhaps misinformation. Mark and Stephanie.
All right, CNN's Karen Kafa live in Washington. Thanks for joining us.
CNN's Daryl Forges has been tracking the Biden campaign for us this week.
That's right. Let's go ahead and talk to him live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to the both of you, and happy election week now, I guess you could say, right? You heard what Karen talked about when it comes to President Trump and his take on what's happening right now. Now, former Vice President Joe Biden spoke with his supporters earlier this morning, urging calm and also talking about being patient as these votes continue to come in, because they believe, they're confident that these numbers are going into their favor. But the race is still on for that magic number of 270 electoral votes. It's been a tense election season, and it's not over yet. With a crush of mail-in ballots to be counted, it's too close to call in several states. But while legitimate vote counting continues, President Donald Trump has falsely declared victory and is basically accusing Democrats of trying to steal the election.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Trump, without any proof, suggested that counting all ballots would disenfranchise his voters and threaten legal action to stop legitimate vote counting. Former Vice President Joe Biden's campaign blasted the president's remarks as outrageous, unprecedented, and incorrect. Biden also speaking in the early morning hours Wednesday, telling Americans to remain patient.
It's not my place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this election. That's the decision of the American people.
The record number of mail-in ballots this year is delaying results, something that states expected because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's going to take time to methodically and securely tabulate every vote.
And the biggest thing right now, everyone needs to just practice patience at this point. Right now, Pennsylvania officials say that they still have well over 1 million plus votes still to be counted in their state. That's going to be a big thing moving forward. And also keep an eye out for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They, of course, have not done their mail-in ballots yet, haven't completely counted those. Once they count those, that could possibly go to Joe Biden's favor. Now, they say they may not be done counting those until sometime toward the end of this week. In Wilmington, Delaware, Daryl Forges, back to you.
Daryl, real quick, as of this morning, do we know where Biden underperformed?
Yeah, well, Mark, if you have to look at Florida, you have to look at Miami-Dade County specifically. Compared to what Hillary Clinton did back in 2016, Hillary Clinton ran that part up of Miami-Dade County. Even though she lost the state of Florida, she ran up the numbers in Miami-Dade County, winning that county by well over double digits. Joe Biden won that county, but only by single digits, 5 or 6 percentage points. The turnout there in Miami-Dade did not go very well, but he was able to flip places like Duval County, that's in Jacksonville, Florida, and do well in the suburban areas of Florida. Mark, somehow, if Joe Biden would have matched the numbers of Hillary Clinton back in 2016, there's a possibility he could have won Florida.
All right, thank you. CNN's Daryl Forges live in Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks again, Daryl. Right now, back here at home, it's exactly 9:52, 61 degrees.
We'll be right back.
All right, one last look at the forecast. We're at 65 right now. We'll be up around 80 today. Very consistent through the weekend, other than we'll see some morning clouds and fog. Maybe a slight chance of rain on Tuesday.
Well, first it was blue dragons, then a mystery creature, and now it's a cannibalistic fish that is washed up on Padre Island National Seashore.
Yeah, this story is on our website at KSAT.com. So officials with pens posted a photo on Facebook Monday morning of the fish that washed up on the beach. This was a few weeks ago, was discovered by a visitor.
It's called the sargassum fish. It's an ambush predator as well as cannibal. One fish was found to have, quote, 16 juveniles in its stomach.
It says the fish lives in the seaweed beds out in the Gulf of Mexico and blends into the seaweed due to its unique coloring.
And it can change colors, able to stealthily snatch up unsuspecting prey from the water. But they say, don't worry. Reports that the only danger to humans from these fish is due to the ingestion of a toxin, which is found on the flesh of the fish. So they have very simple advice.
Yeah, so they say if you find one, don't eat it.
Because it's too busy eating its own, apparently.
Gross. Okay, duly noted. Thank you. Have a great day.
And it comes with the dirty rice, too. It's special today.